Everybody has different reasons for coming here. Every country is a little bit different, but we work very, very hard to make sure that that is achieved for them and that they're comfortable and that they gain what they want. So a successful investor is successful for us. Welcome to the United States. We're here to assist, help you get settled in this country, or anything we can do to make sure that their journey and entry and landing in the United States is the best thing that they've ever done in their lives. That's our commitment. That's our objective.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We just want to welcome you. We've got some really good news in the EB5 immigration by investment space. So we're going to be giving you the latest updates for US visas and EB5. Some really great opportunities, for everyone that's been wanting to immigrate through investment. We're going to be talking all about the investment amount that has changed for a very short period of time. Just to start, I'm Sonia Clark. I'm the Regional Director for First Pathway Partners. I'm based in Johannesburg. Our head office is in Milwaukee, United States. And as you just saw, our CEO, Mr. Bob Kraft, he is also the president of II-USA, which is Invest in the USA, and a very important organization in terms of the continuing of the Regional Center program. Today, we're going to have Grant Kaplan. I've known Grant for over a decade, been very fortunate to be able to work with Grant for a very long time. Grant's the next South African. He's based in Boca Raton, Florida. And Grant Kaplan attorneys, we work very closely together, obviously, because we understand South Africans, we understand our language and terminology, and it's just a lot easier for South Africans, to work with us. So, yes, over to you, Grant, if you want to give a quick introduction to yourself, and then we can kick off. We're just going to have questions and walk you through it. Grant, your sound.
All right, everybody can hear me now?
Yes.
All right, good. I'm saying good morning, everyone, from a very hot and sweaty Florida. Don't be fooled by the jackets. It's very, very hot. Durban times 10. Happy to chat to you guys today, and with pleasure, I'll give you the latest developments as to what's happening in the EB5 space. As Sonia indicated, we're based in Florida. Full service immigration law office. Happy to chat to you guys and to take any inquiries which you may have. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Grant. So yes, we do have you can post your questions to us during the webinar, and afterwards we'll be sending you a re-recording. You're welcome to contact us at any stage. We're available on WhatsApp, email, phone calls, whatever's convenient to you for any further questions that you may have. Some of you already know about EB5, and you've gone quite far through the process and down the line already with us. So hopefully today will shed some more light in terms of all the changes. So first of all, Grant, I just wanted to ask you, the Biden administration, Biden administration's views on immigration, and are there any new opportunities to USCIS?
Well, the whole tenor or attitude of immigration hopefully is changing for the better after Uncle Donald's regime, which was generally pessimistic from an immigration point of view. The Biden administration has taken a contrary view. Unfortunately, they're bound by current legislation, and therefore there is only so much that they can do. In the EB5 arena, we'll talk in some more detail shortly. But the EB5 program has sunsetted for the moment. It was due to be extended. It's not been extended, but we expect that it will be extended in the near future. So there's no immediate problem in that regard. And of course, I urge all EB5 guys to take advantage of this small window, which we're going to talk about at this point, to jump in and get all the applications ready. You'll see, and I'm sure a lot of people have been hit from all sides with potential regional centers and others that have bombarded potential investors with opportunities, because this window has availed itself, as we'll discuss shortly, and obviously the game is on to try and get the investors to come and invest in the meantime in the short window of opportunity.
Absolutely, Grant. And, just for those that don't know, EB5 will be available at $500,000, which was $900,000. Grant, if you can maybe just take us through exactly what it is.
So let me just, I'm not sure, I'll give everybody a brief overview of what a regional center is and what the EB5 program is all about. The EB5 program, for those who are unsure, is a passive investment in what is known as a regional center. And a regional center is nothing other than an entity that has got permission from the Immigration Service to take investors to come and invest in their particular projects. So as in the case of First Pathway, or Pathway as the case may be, they develop hotels and commercial developments, and usually groups of investors are grouped together to come in on a passive investment basis to come and invest in the regional center. Typically, the investment sits with the regional center for 5 years, and of course, the money has to be at risk in terms of the definitions of the immigration regulations, and you'd want to invest with an entity that has got a track record, hopefully 100% track record in their historical investments, where investors have all got their money back, where investors have all got their green cards. I believe First Pathway has achieved such a record, and I'm sure Sonia can confirm that. And that's typically what the investor would look to. My role in this is not to represent the regional center. My role is to represent the investor. So my job is to take your investment, to ensure that that investment comes from a legitimate source, to make sure that you have no criminal or other issues. We then take the documentation from the regional center and put all of that together and file that with the Immigration Service. Sonia and I were talking a little bit earlier about the timing and processing of these applications. The timing has vacillated wildly all over the place. Sonia was telling me that some guys are saying that these could be approved within 12 months, 13 months. There's no telling at the moment as to exactly what the timing is all about. Immigration, as I've indicated earlier, is in a state of flux, and therefore, hopefully the timing will improve. Hopefully immigration will modernize and prioritize and get these applications processed on a much quicker basis than has historically been the case. As Sonia indicated, on Wednesday, June 22, a U.S. magistrate judge in California issued a ruling that invalidated the EB5 modernization rule of 2019, which effectively reduced the minimum investment from $900,000 to $500,000. Of course, the government has the option to appeal that decision or take any other steps as it may deem fit. But in the meantime, that $500,000 amount remains, and it may remain. On the legislative side, once they sunsetted on June 30, 2001, no applications are today being accepted for regional center investments. However, that will change in the near future. There's, in my opinion, no real way that Congress could stand in the way of this program, which is good for everybody. It's good for the investor, it's good for the economy, and it would make absolutely no sense not to reintroduce this and to have the EB5 program running smoothly in the near future.
100% Grant. And, the most important, as you were saying, is looking at your regional center, of which we are, First Pathway Partner. We're one of the most respected regional centers. Bob Kraft, uncontested 5 years in a row, being elected as president of IUSA. Excuse me. So just going back a little bit, First Pathway Partners over the last decade, we've had $1 billion worth of foreign investment into the US economy. We've created jobs, successfully completed our projects on time. We've got a 100% success rate on green card issuance, 100% success rate on funds returned. And also on our latest project, we've got 2.5 times the amount of jobs that are needed to be created. It's actually more than 2.5 times the job. So, the importance of using an immigration attorney as well that's got a 100% success rate is of the utmost importance. But I think what's most important is your due diligence that you do, for a particular project that you are wanting to invest in is key, of which we can provide you all the information. We've got a strict vetting process, due diligence, we've got an asset management team. So everything that goes behind the scenes of making a successful project sits in our track record. I mean, our previous projects as well, we've got a showcase of various projects. I mean, Bank of Montreal, Marriott, in Anaheim, we had the Water Centre project, just to mention a few of them. So Grant, I wonder if you just want to touch on exactly what happened with the Bering versus Wolf case, just in case.
So what happened is the former secretary, they say, exceeded his bounds in modernizing this rule and increasing the amount unilaterally to $900,000. So the judge in that case said that he went beyond his authorization, and therefore they reduced that back to $500,000. So why that's important for us is that investors could take advantage of that right now, and thereby save themselves potentially the additional $400,000. Of course, the next question that I'm sure is burning on many people's minds is what happens if it goes back to $900,000? And I would imagine that you guys have a plan in place as far as that is concerned, Sonia.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, I mean, our project is structured for the $500,000 investments with the amount of jobs that need to be created, and also on the $900,000 investment. Obviously, it's got to be in a targeted employment area, of which our project is. It's the Tempo by Hilton. Grant, just to elaborate a little bit, what happens if USCIS appeals or seeks a stay or reinstates the rules through the rule-making process and changes the investment amount to 900? How soon will that impact the I think it's just a timeline. How soon will it impact the investment?
The answer again is no one knows. Probably 2-3 months, I would guess. And then presumably the investor would have the option to increase his investment to $900,000 if that were the case. Just on another point, and I know that we previously touched on this in previous discussions. Another burning question which many investors ask is, how and when do they get their money back? Why, if they put up their money for 5 years, are they going to get their money again? I think reassurance is a big thing. What is the mechanism typically that investors utilize to give themselves comfort to say, is my money coming back, and how is it coming back? And the usual structure on these, and I know we've discussed it with Dan Wickland at your company previously. There are various mechanisms in my experience for the repayment of investors. It may be that that First Pathway buys out those investors themselves to take increased equity. They may pass mortgages over the property or whatever it might be, so that investors have comfort and that they know that they're going to get their money back. And the second thing is typically the regional center or the investor typically also puts some investment into the project in order to have some skin in the game, so to speak. And the investors obviously also get comfort from that. And I know that previously, in previous projects with First Pathways, where we've worked with clients that have invested with you guys, they've satisfied themselves as far as that is concerned.
100%, yes. So the way that our latest EB5 project is structured, there is a big equity amount, there is a mortgage over it, and then obviously sit in the middle, you've got your EB5 investors. There is a clear exit strategy, which we can also share with you, so that you understand the whole process. As I said before, we've got 100% success rate on returning capital to investors. And also there's an opportunity as well for you to earn 3% on your investment, which isn't very typical, from year 2. So you can chat to us about that as well. It's very exciting, just makes the project a lot more sound. And, in saying so, Grant, the urgency for filing the application. I think a lot of people,
time always is of the essence, particularly in the EB5 arena. There's always something going on. It's it's never, as with most other aspects of immigration, there's nothing that stays still. So the time is now for those guys who want to take advantage of the $500,000. Of course, the time is now to put everything together. It is a substantial application, and we well equipped to deal with this. We've got the specialists in our office on the due diligence of the funds. They needs to come from a lawful source, and we have a mechanism to be able to show to the Immigration Service how this works. So we've got a well-established system in place, and we'll work with the guys. But it does take time, and therefore I urge everybody to jump in now, at least make a start, so we can get all of this in place as soon as possible.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, to literally pay double, or have the chance of paying double just through delay. I mean, if your funds are ready and you've got your affairs in order, that's time to talk to Grant.
And even if they don't have them in order presently, we will assist them and show them the mechanisms whereby we can achieve, the process so that things are in order to be able to file.
Absolutely.
So, I know guys are saying they need to get mortgages, they need to sell this, they need to do that, and we can certainly discuss that with the guys as we go along. So there's no particular problem on that front.
100%, yeah. So, I think from our point of view, we need to know source of funds. Grant and then we'll need to know source of funds. I think that's the important thing. To compile an EB5 application is not easy. I mean, there's a pile of documents that need to be prepared to file the petition with USCIS. And, I think it's of vital importance to get all those documentation, your documentation together through to Grant so that he can start, compiling your application. I mean, there's an expedited process. There's a complete expedited process through this small window of opportunity, of which we will take care of that. And obviously Grant can discuss that with you as well. We're doing our level best. We handhold everybody through the whole process. It's not like you have your investment and you don't know where to go. I mean, our investors, it's a hands-on operation. And, every step of the way, we're there with all of you. So, so how long will it take to file the application, Grant? I mean,
we've in the past filed these on a week's notice, but of course that's not typical. Probably 6 to 8 weeks, I think, would be ideal, depending upon how quickly our clients can get their documentation together. So we have our guys on standby here, so we have the capacity to deal with this.
Okay, fantastic. Grant, yes. What is the first step before we get into questions from everybody?
All right. So the first step is for people to commit themselves to going ahead with this, and the first step is to communicate with you and me. We typically take a deposit on our fees. Our fees are $18,000 plus the filing fees and the copy and courier charges and so on. We'll take a deposit of 50%. That immediately will generate a fee agreement, checklist. We'll allocate a team to the investor and we'll start working. And then we'll work with First Pathways to get all of their information and documentation together. So that the payment of the deposit and the fee agreement generates a new file and a team immediately to jump in and to work with the clients on an interactive basis. We've got the templates for everything. So the other question which people often ask is, can they borrow the money or can they be gifted the money? And the answer is yes, in principle you can. And we have also those documents which would enable us to do so. So Sonia, if you have any rich relatives, by all means let them gift everybody.
Absolutely.
From there, or go to the casino, one of the two.
Absolutely. But Grant, I mean, we've had clients in the past where, family members have actually gifted or donated or actually paid the fees. So it doesn't have to come from one source. It can come from multiple sources, as long as we can trace those funds back. Yes. Correct. And then, of course, some of you have already got our subscription agreements. Those that don't, please reach out to me. We need to send those subscription agreements through to you, which is the escrow agreement and also the project agreement, which we have. We've got some questions here, Grant. Can we hear more about the project? So can I just kick off about that? So
Sure.
it is a whole presentation on its own. Today we wanted to speak about the changes in EB5, the USCIS changes. But in terms of our project, it is the Tempo by Hilton. It is, I don't have my slides in front of me. I would love to have my slides to go into that presentation, but for today's purposes, we want to keep it short. It is based in Milwaukee. In terms of the actual project size, we can share that with you. We've got a business plan that we can also share with you. It is right next to the Buck Stadium. Buck Stadium was bought by a couple of hedge fund guys, young hedge fund guys. So, and right next to it, you've literally a walking distance. You've got the Tempo. There's concerts that happen, in the stadium as well. You've got the river tours. You've also got, obviously when people are on conferences or on business, big conference centers also fill the space. We've got retail stores, we've got restaurants in the project. So once completed in year 2, and that's why we say, you could have a return on your $500,000 because, once all the retail stores or the restaurants and occupancy takes place, then the project kicks off. But we can go more in detail about that. Then I've got another question. Can we hear more about the project there? And that's another duplicate there. How does the sustainment period work? Grant, do you know what that is?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the question means, but presumably that's relating to the regional center. How do they sustain the requirements from immigration? They have, for each investor, the regional center has to create 10 direct or indirect jobs according to a mathematical formula, which has already been approved by immigration. So that's already in place, and I'm sure that in First Pathways projections, they've exceeded the number of employees that are required. So the project obviously goes through a construction period, and once it's operating, presumably it will become self-sustaining at some point, and that's where the 3% comes from. So that's more regional center question. I'm assuming that's what that question is all about. I see there's another question here. Can you send a list of documents? The way that it works is we take a deposit first from the client. We then generate our fee agreement. Then a team is allocated, and the checklist and questionnaires and everything are sent out in tandem with an explanation, typically Zoom calls or Teams meeting calls, to explain what the list of documents is all about and how we can achieve what we need to achieve. I see there's another question here. I hope you don't mind, Sonia. I'll just
please go ahead.
Through them as quickly as possible. Does the investment attract global tax? I'm no tax expert, but until you're a permanent resident in the United States, you taxed in your country of origin, and any earnings that you earn in the United States, once you have your visa or your green card, you will be taxed on in the United States. Once you're a permanent resident, you're taxed on your worldwide income, but typically there are tax agreements between the different countries, so it's unlikely that you would be taxed on a dual basis. You're not going to be taxed twice. What is meant by expedited process? I'm not sure what that relates to. If there's any kind of urgency at any point, once you filed the EB5 or any other visa for that matter, if there's some kind of exigent circumstance that relates to you, USCIS can take cognizance of that and can expedite, for example, for medical reasons, or you need to be out of there for whatever reason particular to your circumstances. It's possible to try and expedite. It's possible to get a congressman to try and assist with that. So yes, we can certainly talk about that. But otherwise, there's no expedited process on EB5s on their own. All right, let's see what else we've got over here.
Tax, if I can just jump in here, tax implications. Well, we can refer you to our partners that we work with. Tax Consulting SA have done numerous webinars with me. Last year, they're on TV, they're on radio, they're very well known, and they've got offices globally. So yes, to answer any taxation questions, please drop me an email. I'll gladly introduce you to Jerry Boerter. He's the managing partner for Tax Consulting SA, and they can gladly assist you through. We're not, like Ron said, tax experts. Next question, Marriott being a hotel, I assume? Yes. Tourism, of course, through COVID, that was a massive problem, with the vaccination rollout, and also with the movement in the US. Some places haven't got mandatory masks. Vaccinations are, as I said, that I'm not going to get into a vaccination discussion here, but this particular project is not necessarily driven by international tourism. I mean, if you just look at the local job creation in itself, and also, what the area in terms of the United States has to offer, just to its local consumption, I think that'll put you at ease. So
I can tell you from a practical point of view that the economy has rebounded in a big way. People are traveling up. I travel frequently, and the airports are packed. The hotels are packed. So I don't think that has any impact any longer.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Grant. Another question. So you're accepting 500,000 and using the funds prior to confirmation of the actual value. Sorry, Grant, if you can maybe have a look at that.
I'm not sure what that question means. I'm assuming it means you take the $500,000 and you're investing that into the project as opposed to sitting in some form of escrow. I'm guessing. So some regional centers, by agreement, take the money and put it into the project, so that they can get to work and get going with it. Others keep the money in escrow, but most guys nowadays take the money and they utilize it so that they can expedite the finalization of the construction or whatever else it is. So I'm assuming that is the case.
Okay, so on that process,
then he says, I think what he's saying is, even before there's confirmation that it could go up to 900. And the answer is yes, because once you're in, you've committed that $500,000. If it goes up to $900,000, then, that's something different.
Yeah. So the way it's structured, so obviously if you're investing $500,000 versus $900,000, $500,000, there's different criteria in terms of job creation, and that's already been taken care of. And I just wanted to also get back to someone on in terms of, let me just quickly have it. I've lost my train of thought now, but we'll get back to that. Yeah. So to get more information on the amount of shares that you receive, or your stake in the EB5 project, it would be a smaller stake at 500 as opposed to 900, but it makes no difference. Then we've got another question here. Would you be able to change a 500 to 900 during the process? Or once you invested 500, surely they cannot change this amount. Grant, that's for you maybe.
Well, they can, unfortunately.
Okay, so even if you file at 500,
they can say, well, that's great, but now it's 900. So, and I'm guessing because we don't know.
We don't know. We're hoping. Look, never in the history have, I don't think we've ever gone backwards in EB5, to a lesser amount. So we never thought it would happen. And, we are hoping and we're very hopeful that that amount would stay under the Biden administration, would stay at $500,000. So hopefully that answers your question.
And it may be that a political decision is made about it, just to keep it at that, as you say. The other question here is, what does at risk mean? At risk means that the regional center cannot guarantee this money because they're not allowed to do that in terms of the regulations. And therefore, this money is going into an enterprise, a business enterprise that is trading. And whenever there's a business that is trading, of course, there's all kinds of risk as with any other business. And therefore, the investor is required or suggested to exercise due diligence in looking at all the documents. And that's why you guys, Sonia, presumably have sent it to everybody to do so. So that's really what that's all about.
Okay, fantastic. And then we've got a rate of ROI. What is ROI?
Return on investment. I think you mentioned something about 3% earlier.
Yes. Okay. All right. And what time must you expect? So, if you're looking at an EB5 investment, like I said, typically you don't always get a rate of return on your investment. But we're typically looking at year 2. So from year 2, you could expect that. But it's really just your investment into the project. So it's almost like a loan that you loan into the actual project. And then obviously you get your citizenship after 5 years once your funds are returned.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Everyone's asking, is the webinar being recorded? Yes, indeed, it's being recorded, and we will send the re-recording out to everyone. If anyone has any other questions before we close today, you can actually put it in the chat function. There's a chat button on your menu. You're welcome to to give us one more question if there's any. Otherwise, Grant, what is the first step? What is the next step?
So the next step is for the guys to contact me. I'll put my email address in there. So I see it's over there. So the email address is there. I'm also going to put in my telephone number. So contact me or contact Sonia, and we'll jump into action straight away. Again, my view is that time is of the essence on this, and if anyone has even the slightest inclination to get involved, they should contact us, and we can pick it up from there. We're certainly happy to chat, and we can go through everything that needs to be done.
Fabulous. Thank you, Grant. Thank you for coming on today and making everything clear.
I'll go put my speedo on and head back to the beach.
And cool down. Yes, I'm freezing.
That would be a frightening prospect.
My jaw's chattering where I'm sitting. Joburg's freezing. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely afternoon.
All right, guys. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.